Hello everybody, my name is Resonant and welcome back to another Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord video. Now previously I did the gameplay trailer analysis. That was a quick analysis and I literally did that 10 minutes after I saw the thing. So it was literally what was coming off the top of my head right then, right now. But now I've had a couple of hours and a few hours ago they released this Siege gameplay, and it was the same gameplay from the trailer, but this was less cinematic. This was the player playing. So this way you guys will be able to see what it is like from the player's perspective, and I'm going to be going through, breaking down the most interesting bits, the thing that I have seen that I'm interested to talk about. Then I'll be asking you guys some questions, see what you guys like at the end. So let's get this started through. So this was released a couple of hours ago, as I said, and it really shows how much they advanced the gameplay in Mount & Blade Warband. Now for starters, as you can see, there is a new deployment phase. Now I'm not quite sure if this is going to be part of field battles or just siege battles. We've not seen anything about the deployment of field battles just yet, but as siege, as you can see, I'm just going to pause it here. He's setting up some catapults and ballistas. These look like flaming ones, so you have the ability to get distinguished flaming artillery and normal artillery, which I guess these guys will do better against wooden objects and infantry, while this will do better against battering down stone walls. Right, so as you can see, he is setting up battering rams, siege towers, so it looks like this will be really cool for setting up new things in battles. Now, one thing I would say, if they did include this in the field battles, I'm not completely sure how this would work. Would it just be with artillery, or would there be different things? Maybe you could set up traps, like spikes in the ground or something like that. Or something, ambushes, I don't know. Something in a field battle that would make this deployment phase really useful. And it's kind of taken the Total War style here, and I'm really glad they've done this because it really adds to the whole commander bit of Mount & Blade. And Warband was a lot about you being in the battle and commanding it. And this is in Bannerlord too, but it seems like they have taken the way of getting some over-the-top commander views as well, at least in the deployment phase of the battle. So let's carry on the video and see what else happens. So it looks like at the moment he is now moving his troops, which is very Total War-esque. Many of you will have played Total War since. They're kind of the same kind of genre kind of thing. Mount & Blade is more in on the battle, third-person shooter kind of thing. But they are very similar in that way. So a first thing you can see is, if you saw in the top right there, I don't know, I'll go back a bit. This is the first thing we've seen of actual gameplay of the destruction in the game. Now in the trailer, that was in there as well. But this you can actually see in the game. So it's an actual thing that they'll be putting in there, which is really cool. Now, he has his men charging up to the walls. And as I mentioned in the gameplay trailer, the missile impact has really changed quite a lot. If we just look at this guy here, when he gets hit by a missile, you'll see him look, he stops, he seems kind of shocked that he's just been hit, and then he slowly falls over. Now, I really think that's going to add a lot to the realism of the game, since Mount & Blade Warband, when you got hit, you just kind of like stumble backwards, and then you suddenly die if you got hit to the last bits of your health. But in this, I really like how they've added in the whole animations of you being shot and then them reacting to it and then slowly flopping onto the floor. And you'll see later on the whole ragdoll effects is really improved. Now he has his troops going over to the catapults, and I'm not sure if that's an automatic thing where just random troops randomly go over to it, or there are set troops that you can put over to the catapults, or you have separate units. I don't know. We'll see once we get more information on the game. But for now, it looks really cool, especially the animations. It looks like you need more than one guy, definitely. There looks like 4 people around here, plus the commander himself. And he seems to be helping hold it steady while they place in the shot. Now, all the animations of them placing in the shot looks really cool. And there needs to be a lot of people hauling this, which really adds to the realism of the weight of these catapults, because these weren't light things. You needed numerous amounts of men to get these firing. And as you can see there, just small things like that shield stuck in his back. How cool is that? Yeah, they had that in Warband, but it just looks so realistic in this. And with the blood splattered on it, maybe he was hit previously and there's been blood splattered. And you'll see later on in this gameplay that there is blood splattering everywhere. So as we can see, I just want to take a look at the horses and the way they animate here. It is very similar to Warband, which I really like, but it's also got a nice added things, like dismounting the horse looks a really nice animation. And here we have some shooting from the player here. Now, I'm not quite sure he's the best archer in this game since he's shooting it over the head quite a lot. But it means we get to see the kind of skirmish combat in this game. And you'll probably notice this is a lot like Warband. This is the same reticle as Warband, the same kind of aiming. You have to aim slightly higher if they're further away. Same kind of physics with the bows and the bolts in crossbows. And I think that's a really good addition that they've kept it the same, but they've also made the animations look a lot nicer, but the same kind of core mechanics are the same. Now, if you guys would have seen back there, like I said before, the animations have been severely improved in this version of the game. Now, as you'll see, when people get shot, they fall off the wall. See this body here? Down he goes, falling off the wall. Now, that kind of ragdoll physics really adds to the game, and it really makes it realistic. When your men are falling off the walls because they've been shot, or they're dropping off their horses behind you, that really adds to the kind of immersion of the game. Now, in Warband, many of you will know, to put up a ladder, you hold F on it, and it magically floats up onto the walls. Now, this added feature of the whole animation looks really cool, and he's coming in to help him, this AI. I'm not quite sure if that's just an aesthetic thing or if you need two people. It looked like he was doing fine on his own. Maybe it makes it quicker, I don't know. We'll see that later on in the game. But as you can see, he starts moving over to the battering ram here, and he takes some more pot shots up at the wall. Now I'm just going to skip forward a little bit to the destruction on the wooden gate here. Now, as you can see, as the battering ram smashes into the gate, okay, maybe he'll just turn out the way in time, but as you can see, smashing onto the gate, the animations of the gate swinging open, it really looks like there is a lot of force on this battering ram. And if you look back at the battering ram, it is worn, it is tired, and it's been scratched down. Now, one thing that I've been thinking about is, are they going to add that as just an aesthetic thing, or is it going to get more damaged over time if you use the same battering rams? I don't know. Maybe you build battering rams and then you can use them in more than one siege, but they get battered down and they do less damage later on. That could be a thing, or it could just be an aesthetic thing. But if we move on into this, as you can see, the second gate is a wooden gate that you can batter down. Now, this was in Warband, but it seems like it's going to take a lot more people to batter down the gates. And definitely axes are going to be a big thing in the game. Now, up here we have a death hole. Now, these were used in the medieval times where defenders could drop rocks, anything really, cooking pots, oil, torches, swords, even like shields that they've just discarded that they throw down just to try and do as much damage to the enemy as possible. Now, this is going to be a really cool thing. If you can throw stuff in the game, that would be amazing. I mean, in Warband, you could throw stuff such as javelins, but look at that. He's dropped a flaming pot and it explodes down below, injuring the men. And now we can see those amazing ragdoll physics as well. Now, if I skip forward a little bit, as you can see, if we just look back here, we can see the burning barricades in the background. And I think a bit earlier, yeah, you can see the more barricades burning here. Now, that could be the enemy firing down with their flaming ballistas down onto the barricades, and maybe that's going to destroy the barricades. We've seen the destructible terrains on the castles, and if there's going to be more destruction on the barricades and stuff, then there's going to be less places for the attackers to take cover behind, and that's going to make them more vulnerable to missile fire. So that's going to add a really good dynamic to the game in that aspect. Now, skipping forward to when they scale the siege tower, as you can see, ladder climbing has been improved drastically. Before, you kind of just walked up the ladder like you were walking up a ramp, but now ladder climbing has made you a lot more vulnerable. So, in Warband, you could just hold your shield as you were going up a ladder, but this time, if you are going up a ladder, you are vulnerable to shooting. You are vulnerable to ballista missiles, you are vulnerable to bows and crossbows from either side, because you cannot hold up your shield. Maybe if you had a shield on the back, then that will defend you a bit more, but other than that, you're going to be a lot more vulnerable when attacking the castles. Now, if we move forward a bit, once he gets into the melee, you'll see the blood dynamically moving onto his weapons and his armor. Now, that is something that when I first watched this, I thought that was really cool. Now, Warband doesn't have much blood. There are mods that add in blood, but in the base game, I don't even think there's any blood, or if there's very slight amounts. But there's definitely nothing like this. I think this really adds to kind of mixing in a bit of gore. I mean, this really adds to the authenticity of it, with blood splattering over shields and weapons, and that would be really cool when you finish the battle, when you are victorious and you come out of the tower, the siege towers, and you come out of the castle just covered in blood. I think that would look really cool and really add to the game. Now, one thing I've just noticed now, I'm just kind of trying to pick out the little bits that people may not have noticed. If we look back here, when the player swings his sword, if we go back, once the player swings his sword, if we look at this character in the back with the brown hair and the beard, look at that. You'll see as he gets hit in the sword, he is being hit in the face, and he goes up to hold his face as the sword hits him in the face. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing with all the places, like if you hit their arm, they hold their arm, or if you like hit them in the stomach, they stumble back with impact as it looks like it's been hit in the stomach. But as you can see here, when he gets hit in the face, it really shows how that character knows he's been hit in the face, and he reacts perfectly to it. So the animations and the reactions from the AI are really improved, and I really like that. Now, as you can see here, kicking is still in the game. You'll see in a second, the player kicks the AI off the wall, which is quite amusing to me. Kicking was always a thing in warbands that I found really amusing, kicking people off walls. And there's also a very good melee tactic. If you can kick someone and defeat their block, then that is going to be quite a good thing. Now, one thing I have noticed, if I turn up the volume a tad here. Now, as they're fighting, you can hear, let's just listen to the sounds. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed that. The sword swinging and the shield being battered is a different sound. But the voices of the characters, them getting injured, them getting hit, is exactly the same sound as Mount & Blade Warband. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to change that or they're going to keep it. I mean, I don't really have a problem with that since there was nothing wrong with the sounds. I guess they're going with the thing, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But I just thought it was something to point out that they're using the same sounds with the characters' voices. And I'm not quite sure what else they'll be keeping from Warband. But hopefully, they'll be changing enough to make it worth a new game, and I think we've seen that already, that they've changed a lot. But maybe they'll be keeping a few things that the Warband players can come back to and say, hey, I remember that from Warband, and it'll add a good bit of nostalgia into the game. Because obviously there'll be a lot of new people coming into this game, since Bannerlord has got a lot more media attention than Warband did. So this will be something for the Warband players, the old Warband players, that I think they'll be able to look back and get nostalgia from playing this game, and it will feel like a Mount & Blade game to them. I think that's what Tailwoods are going for there. As you can see, when he gets into the gatehouse, you can see the pots and stuff and the rocks you'll be able to throw down on the attacking enemies, which will be really cool. And he's slaughtering these guys. And I'm not quite sure how well you're going to be able to distinguish between allies and enemies. In Warband and all the other Mount & Blade games, your allies had their banner above their heads. Now, this doesn't seem to be in this game. Maybe it will be in later, but at the moment, it doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing. So maybe you'll have to have everyone with the same shield, and you'll be able to know that way. Maybe the same colours, I don't know. But if they don't have the banners above their head, they're going to be having to include something which makes a player able to distinguish enemy over a friendly, because that's going to be a bit annoying if you don't know which is which. But hopefully they'll change that. I'm sure they will. Now, skipping forward, as you can see, that guy rolling down the banister as the player goes down into the courtyard. The enemy is starting to retreat. They have seen the attackers coming through the door, and the enemy are running back to their capture point. And I think that's a really good thing of the AI, where in Warband, if the enemies were losing, they wouldn't care. They just carry on fighting just as they would. But maybe in this game, if the enemies feel like they're losing, or the AI feel like they're losing, maybe they are going to fight harder, or maybe they're going to want to run away and rout. It depends. Maybe there's a more in-depth morale system in this game. Now, stepping back a little bit, as you can see here, this is a burning hut inside the castle. Now, I think many of you will remember in my speculations video that I mentioned someone said, if you go into a castle, can you burn the stuff inside it, and will it be damaged? So later on in the world map, will you have to repair that? And I think this could be an indication that that could be a thing. So maybe you can go in, you can burn all their food supplies, or maybe just burn their castle and the stuff inside the castle, and then they'll be weaker, they'll lose morale. Or if you capture it, you'll have to repair it later on in case someone tries to do that to you. I don't know, that could be an interesting aspect of the game. So it looks like the player and his team have overrun this castle somewhat, and they're kind of just mopping up the last players in the castle. And of course, there is the iconic Mount & Blade Warband cheer. as you can see, the men are waving their spears and their axes as they are victorious in this castle. Now, I really like how they have done the styling, the architecture of this castle. It makes it seem a lot more realistic and authentic. Now, as you can see down here that they've got like the well and the stuff. Maybe that's something you build on the bigger map and then it's dynamically put into the game when you go into sieges like this. I don't know. That would be a really cool thing if they did that. And as you can see, there's the turning camera, as you all know and love from Warband. So they have added in and kept some aspects from Warband, but added in a lot of new things to make Bannerlord worth the new game. Now, guys, that was my in-depth analysis of the new extended Siege gameplay. If you want to go and watch the full video without me pausing and stuff, links in the description. I would definitely recommend that. Go leave a comment on Tailwoods. Go support them. Yeah. Go support them. And I really hope you guys are going to get this game. I mean, I'm going to be getting it. I don't think anyone's going to be able to see me in real life for a few months once this game comes out. But I'm really excited. I hope you guys enjoy this analysis. If you did, remember to leave a like. If you didn't, remember to dislike it. And subscribe to the channel for more Bannerlord updates and a lot of Warband and Bannerlord gameplay as soon as it is released. So, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.